Microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everyone. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from my basement bunker beneath Kettle Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour. It is great to have you along. President Trump, and I carried a portion of the president's remarks this morning. He's speaking over in Davos, Switzerland, and there were things that he covered that I wasn't able to share on the air this morning. President Trump said he would not use the military to invade and acquire Greenland. And he said, that's probably the biggest statement I made because people thought I would use force. And regarding his comments that he wouldn't rule out using the military, he said, I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. He said, all the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland. So he also talked about Secretary of State Marco Rubio actually working with him on his diplomacy. And he said that Rubio is fantastic. And Marco Rubio, he said, let me teach you about diplomacy. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall during that conversation when Marco Rubio is giving pointers to Trump about diplomacy. So then he asked Rubio to stand up, and he complimented him, trying to see if there was anything else. He talked about China, Xi Jinping. I was just trying to see if there was anything more regarding Greenland. So anyway, he's saying that the United States is not going to take it by force. And I wondered about that. I think, you know, when it comes to Trump, so much of what Trump says, you really just cannot take it at face value because, you know, you really don't know where he's at. Yeah, he says a lot of things, but where is he at really? And I have wondered when it comes to Greenland, is it really about the acquisition of Greenland, or is it about getting certain rights from Greenland, or, you know, because he may be shooting for everything and have his target set much lower than that. Or he may want everything. You really don't know when it comes to Donald Trump. Also, Stephen Miller. So I love following Stephen Miller on X, and he's making a really good point here. I want you to stop and think about what Stephen Miller is saying. He says, if your stance is that we can only deport illegals after they violently attack a citizen, then you're saying we have no border at all. Zero rules, zero restrictions, no limits. Anyone can come. Anyone can overstay a visa. Anyone can stay forever. Total anarchy, nation dissolved, says Stephen Miller. And it's kind of it's a great point. So you can only deport illegals after they then commit some more violent crime. I don't buy that. I think Stephen Miller is right. And this is why, and I've said this on the air, the Trump administration began months before Trump even was sworn in, warning people, if you're in the country illegally, get out. Get out of the country now, because when we come, you know, once we are sworn in, we are going to be coming after you. So if you're in the country illegally, get out now. And they said that for months ahead of the inauguration. Once Trump won the election, they were immediately out there encouraging people. Trump said it, Tom Holman said it. Others said it. If you're in the country illegally, get out now. And I think Stephen Miller it's an interesting point that Stephen Miller is saying. Let's talk about Don Lemon for a little bit. Don Lemon, DOJ saying that it will pursue charges against Don Lemon and the anti-ICE protesters for invading that church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Hold on a second. Let me see. Get you more some more details here. They will pursue charges. Harmeet Dillon, who is the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, said that I'm trying to not be repetitive here. So much of the media, the print reports repeat. So Lemon went into the facility, and we talked about this at the time. He said he was committing journalism, and the whole thing was just a little bit of a sham. So Harmeet Dillon hinted at the possibility of the DOJ charging Lemon under the Enforcement Act of 1871, also known as the Ku Klux Klan Act. She said and the irony of that is quite incredible. She said, whenever anyone conspires to violate the protected civil rights of American citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy charge. I would love to get your thoughts as to whether or not you think Don Lemon should be prosecuted for his involvement in what happened in that it was at City's Church in St. Paul. So video posted by Lemon before, during, and after the church takeover showed he was very much part of the group under the guise of chronicling the event. So he was there. He was part of it. Head of the group barging into the church, Lemon filmed a segment saying he had done some reconnaissance with the activists, which included members of Minnesota Black Lives Matter. They're planning an operation. We're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up. And he said, so what we're doing right here, and after we do this operation, you'll see it live. These operations are surprise operations. Again, I can't tell you where they're going. So he admitted he had no foreknowledge of what was going to happen. But whether or not Don Lemon faces charges, pretty incredible. Well, there's a piece at foxnews.com by Mike Davis. And he's got an entire column dedicated to the fact that, Don Lemon should be pursued. Charges should be pursued against Don Lemon. And Mike Davis makes the point that freedom of worship is a cornerstone value of our republic, enshrined in the First Amendment. And then he talks about what happened and Lemon being there. And he says, Lemon stunningly claimed that they had the First Amendment right to target, trespass into, terrify, and disrupt a church service. Yeah, the whole thing is absolutely insane, I think, which is why it's interesting. And I think it's why you've got, people who are saying Don Lemon he ought to be prosecuted, as well as everybody else who was a part of that. Speaking of that, the woman who was, I'll get to that in a moment. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison was talking about this. He was on the Don Lemon show on Monday, and Ellison made the same just brainless comment. Every person has the First Amendment right to exercise free speech. He also denied that the FACE Act or the Ku Klux Klan Act had been violated. He was saying, no, that is not the case. And he said, none of us are immune from the voice of the public. No, none of us are, but it's a private church service. Ellison, how do these people get into power? It is beyond me. I can't for the life of me get my hands around why people like Keith Ellison are in charge in Minnesota. So I mentioned the Minnesota activists, this Nikema Levi Armstrong. She was one of the organizers storming the church on Sunday, City's Church. Her website identifies her as a civil rights lawyer and a scholar activist. And this is interesting. Take a look at the money. 2024 tax filing shows that despite the foundation being dedicated to giving grants to anti-poverty community initiatives, that they had awarded only $158,000 that year, actually about $159,000. So that's what was awarded. This group, Armstrong is the founder, and she's the CEO of a cannabis company called Dope Roots. And she led the nonprofit then as executive director, Dope Roots. That's your nonprofit. So they awarded about $159,000 to anti-poverty community initiatives. Her salary eclipsed that. Her salary was far in excess of that. Her salary was at $215,000 a year. So she's taking in more money than they're actually giving out as a nonprofit. That kind of crap has to stop. And seriously, we have got to bring an end to that kind of crap. That is absolute nonsense that you see that going on. So these nonprofits, and you have the people who are behind the nonprofit taking in all kinds of money, and the money that's actually going out is far below that. And it's one of those things that just makes me grind my teeth. Now, while we're talking about Minneapolis, there's a video on X and X Freeze. So watch this closely. A leftist mob, and there's video that goes along with this. I'm not going to show it. You can find it. Watch closely. A leftist mob swarms a random car in Minneapolis just because they suspect the driver is conservative. And they become so violent that the driver has to run away in fear. Literally no reason. This is what this person is saying. Literally no reason, just instant violence. This isn't a protest. It's a hunting party. They scream, "We got his flag," as they're attacking the car. The violence is real. The targets are clear. And the media shamelessly does an absolute cover-up. And there's video. You can see watch the whole thing, and you see a swarm of people around the car. You know, they got their cameras out, and they're the fear on the face of the driver, and they're banging on the car, and it's just absolutely incredible. It's disgusting is what it is. But the fear on the face of the people in the car, can you imagine that? That's what's going on. And which is why I had a caller the other day talking about how he had been up in Minneapolis, and, oh, no, you don't see that kind of stuff. Then why am I seeing it on X? And why am I, why do you see, I mean, literally in the video that I'm describing to you, there are literally dozens of people who are there. What are they in there with cameras, and what are they standing around for? What are they doing? What are they involved in? It's just absolute craziness that's going on. And I look forward to seeing Tim Walz and some of these Minnesota officials being called in front of Congress. As I told you yesterday, I think that needs to happen. And I don't, honestly, I don't think there's any way to shame them. There's no way to shame them into changing their behavior or understanding what they're doing is wrong. This kind of craziness is just, it's wild. Remember Nick Shirley? You know, we talked a lot about Nick Shirley a couple of weeks ago. Nick Shirley will be testifying to the U.S. House on Minnesota's fraud. And this is today. He is appearing, actually, he started appearing at 9 a.m. today before the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Crime and Federal Government Surveillance. So I'm going to be looking for stories that I hope to update you on coming up tomorrow regarding that with his testimony. It'll be interesting to see what he's got to say. And then I've got one piece. I've got to share this story. I talked about it on the air this morning, but it's just, I'm going to share the screen. This may not play well for those of you who are watching vertically. For those of you in horizontal mode, you've got to appreciate this. There he is, William Shatner, who was eating cereal in his car, grape nuts, or excuse me, Raisin Bran, according to reports, that he was eating Raisin Bran while he was at a stoplight in Los Angeles. TMZ's got that story, so you can see the photos at TMZ. If you're not a subscriber of mine on YouTube, please become one. It would be very much appreciated. I'm so grateful for all of you who are following what we're doing each day. So thanks for being here. I'm going to leave it there for now. So you made it to the end of the video. You are part of my gallery of champions. Special salute for the Bunker Brigade who are here each and every day. Appreciate all of you. Thanks so much. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Until then, I'm underground and gone.